understanding that in 10 days from now, 20 days from now, you'll learn a whole lot more about launching Killroy as an NFT, learning every day. If Quentin Tarantino approaches you today and asks for some advice on launching his own NFTs, what advice would you give him?
I would probably say, like, I'd say, look, man, the way we're doing it boutique style. I've always done it small. I don't need the widest possible distribution. So if you want to do it with me on Phantasma Chain, we would love that. But if you want to be exposed to way more people, and there are plenty places, Nifty Gateway, places you could go, other places, I wouldn't try to steer him into my corner unless he was like, oh, I want to help Jay and Silent Bob's crypto studio. I'm all for like everybody being their own boss. So naturally I'd be like, Quentin Tarantino's crypto studio is just ripe for the taking, run. So I would definitely advise him as I've been advised, but I wouldn't try to like come to me. Like I'd be like, you belong in a place where everyone's gonna see your stuff and whatnot. I'm used to having to hustle a little more. I don't mind that. You know what I'm saying? Like in order to keep the Kevin Smith business alive, like I got to sell Kevin Smith on a regular basis. So I'm kind of used to that. He doesn't ever really have to sell Quentin Tarantino. That just sells itself. So I would, I'd say, look, I'm happy to walk you through it, but you should probably talk to somebody smarter than me. I'd likely turn him over to you boys and stuff. You'd have way better advice for him than I would and stuff. Like, for example, like our first drop where, you're going to need an Ecto wallet on Phantasma Chain in order to like get our stuff. By the second drop, when we do the Killroy auction, we're talking about being on a larger platform, not just at Jay and Silent Bob Crypto Studio, so more people can have access to it. Because right now, if you want to buy smokin tokens, you can use ETH, you can use Sol. But like when we do the auction, we want that to be available to everybody and every cryptocurrency there is. So between our first drop and our second, like you said, we're going to learn a lot more. So I would never want to lead him astray, man, because like if that dude enters a space, like, and believe me, kids, I feel like, I'm not saying Quentin's coming, but once like I was like, here, let me put my toe in the water. I heard from people that I have not heard from in this business in years who were like, that's incredibly smart. We were just about to do the same thing. So I know some of your favorite filmmakers and studios and IP are coming to this space. So I'd give them the best advice I can, but I'd also tell them like, look, I'm figuring this out as we go along as well.
Nice. Would you say that, because you came up in 1994 at Sundance, would you say that film festivals right now are way too gatekeeped or too much of a cool kids club now 20 years later that people know of them?
Yeah, absolutely. Every place is gate kept, for heaven's sakes. That's what the internet was so exciting for me back in the early mid 90s, because it's like, ain't no gatekeeper here. You can do what you want. Like that's why I dove head deep into podcasting. I'd always thought like, wouldn't it be great to have your own radio show? Like, and back in the day, you would have to either be hired by a radio station, or we had a little local radio station in Monmouth County, New Jersey called The Rat. So I was like, oh my God, maybe one day I could buy The Rat and I'll have my own broadcast antenna. And then I could just like spin records and like talk if I wanted to. So, and then when podcasting happened, like Scott Mosier was like, have you heard the Ricky Gervais podcast? And I was like, what's a podcast? And he explained it. And I was like, well, that sounds like what we do on the movies, on the DVDs, on the Laserdisc commentaries. We should record one of these podcasts. And so I dove into it not because I'm like, we can make money here. In the beginning, there was no way to make money off podcasting. It was the freedom of expression, the ability to jump into a space and fill that space with creativity, and nobody's saying no gatekeeper being like, that's not good enough or something like that. So yes, of course, with film festivals, there has to be somebody picking the films. Otherwise, you got everybody submits, and how do you program that? So it's, the film festivals are kind of defined by their gatekeeping. But when we were kids, it was like, make a movie, man, that's punk rock. I'll tell you what punk rock is right now is not making a movie, making a festival, like being the person that creates the new film festival. I remember going to South by Southwest in 1997 for Chasing Amy. And I was lucky enough to be a part of this like super panel of all these like indie filmmaking rock stars. So Quentin was on the panel with Robert Rodriguez, with Mike Judge, with me, Steven Soderbergh, for heaven's sake, and George Huang. And somebody, they're asking us essentially questions like, how do we get to be where you guys are sitting? So somebody asked Quentin about like, I want to be the next you. And Quentin's like, don't be the next me. He's going, you really want to do something for film? Become a distributor. He's like, become an exhibitor. He's going, we got so many people want to tell the stories, no way to get those stories seen. He's going, that's the next revolution, is somebody figuring out how to get this stuff out there, because it can't just be the same 6 places all the time. That was 1997, man. And he was absolutely right. Now we live in a world where it's like those 6 places aren't the only 6 places. So much so that I'm like, I think I'm going to take my movie into the NFT world. I think I'm going to take it into crypto. So like, it is important, man, to have people that want to make things. But it's even more important to have people to showcase those things. So in a world where people are like filmmakers, it happened up at Slam Dance many years ago. That's how Slam Dance got started. Kids that started Slam Dance didn't get into Sundance. They're like, we got finished films, man. I'm like, fuck it. We'll go up, we'll rent a place, we'll do an adjacent film festival and whatnot. So most punk rock thing you could do right now, kids, if you love film, is not go create a film like everybody else, but if that's your calling, please absolutely do it. Everybody should do it at least once in their lifetime and stuff, everybody. But if you really feel like, man, I want to be in it, I love film so much, we need people who are going to showcase this stuff. We need new film festivals. We need new distributors. A24, the baby distributor on the block, look how well they've done and stuff over the last few years. But they're a giant now, that make movies that have Adam Sandler in it, for heaven's sake. So there's always a need for somebody new to come up and create that thing that's going to showcase other people's work, which showcases your work at the same time. So yeah, I as much as I love supporting the would-be or first-time filmmaker, I'm now a champion of like the would-be first-time film festival thrower. You got one of those, man, and you need help getting attention, you reach out to me, man. I'll do a panel for you or whatever. But like, more venues to showcase the work is better for everybody.
Yes, great perspective. To watch the full conversation, there's a link down below in the video description. And if you're interested in learning more about cryptocurrency, click subscribe. You do not want to miss a daily video. See you tomorrow.